All women are different, but they are all women. This video is androcentric from a men's point of view and is presented as opinion, commentary, and debate. Expressing opinions is not violence. These are ideas to challenge, question, and argue in public, because classical liberalism relies on the First Amendment for its dialectic. If you are a feminist, then consider this. If patriarchy truly existed as claimed, feminism could not. And if all men are trash and women are equal to men, then what are we to conclude? Women will die for their children. Men will die for their wives and children, and God chose to die for all mankind. Authority rolls up with responsibility. If this framing of facts offends you, click off to a cute cat video. Proceeding further will expose you to gamma bias and criticism directed at ideas, claims, institutions, not at any individual's virtue or dignity. Our method follows the 7 liberal arts, the trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, and the quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy, and the transcendentals, the good, true, and beautiful. If this framework is not for you, feel free to exit now. It's no disgrace. Women are wonderful. God bless America. Men are great. Feminismus delendus est. Silver and Gold. Real Money for Real Men, written by Conrad Riker. Available now, links in description. Silver and Gold. A field guide for men who still notice reality. The ergonomics of acedia. Unmasking the solipsistic hoax of effective reparations. From phallocratic chairs and woke probiotics to the academic codification of female theft and pathological lying. I read the latest manifesto from the cult of modern femininity, and I must warn you, keep a firm grip on your intellect, because the sheer density of the victimhood on display threatens to collapse the very fabric of reason. The article opens with a pathetic whimper. The modern woman is exhausted. Let us deploy the trivium, beginning with grammar. The word exhausted descends from the Latin exorire, to draw out, to drain completely. I will concede she is drained, but not by physical labor, not by building the grid that powers her laptop, not by mining the cobalt in her smartphone, and without question, not by defending the borders that keep her safe. She is drained by acedia, the classical apathetic dread of spiritual and material responsibility. Her exhaustion is simply the metabolic cost of maintaining a fragile, delusional self-image against the immovable bedrock of objective reality. We are told that the standard office chair is an instrument of phallocratic architectural violence, forcing her to bring a seat cushion to work in a desperate act of bio-territorial defense. This is not analysis. It is a psychiatric emergency masquerading as sociology. Let us define our terms. Violence stems from the Latin vis, physical force, the violation of physical integrity. Ergonomic standardization is the triumph of industrial scalability, engineered so millions can work in comfort. To inflate a slightly firm cushion into a moral emergency is a textbook categorical error. By this deranged logic, a man bringing a sweater to a frigid air-conditioned office is a victim of gynocentric climatic terrorism. It is an infantile conflation of minor discomfort with systemic existential threat, weaponized by a mind that has never faced true peril. The article spirals further into psychosomatic madness, claiming women must swallow handfuls of probiotic capsules to repair gut flora decimated by cis-heteronormative toxicity. Her gut is inflamed because her soul rejects objective truth. This is autoimmune neurosis perfectly projected onto the male. And what of the travel toothpaste held up as a tool to scrub the taste of male lies? Let us speak honestly. That travel toothpaste is the portable hygiene kit of the nomadic hypergamist, kept ever ready to erase the physical evidence of the alpha feral male from her biology before returning to the sanitized, tax-funded safe space provided by the clueless beta provider. It is the toolkit of deception, cynically rebranded as a symbol of victimhood. But the true sinister core of this manifesto is the part on effective reparations and cognitive emancipatory practice, which translates from the academic newspeak to, it is virtuous for women to lie, steal, and manipulate. We are told that if a woman extracts a man's resources through deception, it is a justified taxation. If she lies, she is merely navigating a hostile epistemology. This is the satanic inversion of the transcendentals. Theft, latrocinium, is renamed justice. the lie is renamed truth. She demands the say-tos of a divine tyrant, the power of ultimate judgment, and total immunity from the consequences of her actions, while reducing men to passive, tax-paying appliances. I am here to tell you that her comfort is not your duty, and her mind is not your guilt. What follows is a surgical dismantling of this ideological possession. We will strip the rhetorical armor from these absurd claims, trace their Marxist origins, and expose the raw, unmasked face of gynocentrism. We will use the classical logic of the Western canon to separate harm from offense, reclaim the true meaning of words, and systematically annihilate the proposition that your masculinity is an original sin. Let the hysterical, crying modern woman drown in the saucer of her own self-manufactured tears. We have a civilization to reclaim.
Buncombe article by a feminist PhD. The modern woman is exhausted. We are forced to navigate a world built explicitly for the comfort of male bodies and the convenience of male egos, carrying the invisible luggage of systemic, existential terror. This is not a metaphor, it is a material reality inscribed into our daily rituals. Consider the recent epistemological crisis revealed in our radical gender studies seminars. Women are being forced, by the relentless pressures of patriarchal surveillance, to over-document their lives in a desperate bid for basic credibility. We call this the patriarchal documentation tax. When a woman sits at her desk, she cannot simply exist. She must construct elaborate defensive architectures. She brings a seat cushion from home. Why? Because the phallocratic design of the standard office chair is an act of architectural violence, engineered to support the male pelvis, while slowly crushing the female form into submission. Her bringing a seat cushion is not an aesthetic choice. It is a primal act of bioterritorial defense against male desaltism. But the violence does not stop at the chair. It infiltrates the very microbiome. Look at the modern woman's intake of probiotic capsules. The skyrocketing consumption of these supplements is a direct physiological reaction to the psychological and spiritual rot caused by proximity to cis-heteronormative toxicity. The patriarchy literally sickens our guts. Women are forced to swallow handfuls of probiotics just to repair the internal flora, decimated by the chronic stress of surviving male entitlement, wage theft, and emotional dumping. We are literally digesting male supremacy, and it is making us ill. To survive this constant state of systemic contamination, women are forced into a state of hypervigilance. Every bag a woman carries is an emergency survival kit. Look at the humble travel toothpaste. Why is it always there? Because a woman must be forever ready to scrub the taste of a compulsory male lie from her mouth, ready to flee at a moment's notice when a man's fragility curdles into violence. The travel toothpaste is the ultimate symbol of our transient status in a society that refuses us a permanent, safe home. We must over-document our whereabouts, our feelings, and our realities, because the moment we stop, the patriarchal machine gaslights us into oblivion. To combat this, we must formally adopt the praxis of effective reparations. For too long, the patriarchy has weaponized the concept of love to chain women to male emotional and material needs. It is time we academically validate the instrumentalization of male affection. Women engaging in transactional relationships are not acting out of malice. They are engaging in a necessary, radical redistribution of stolen patriarchal resources. If a man feels used by this, it is only because his entitled expectation of free female emotional labor has been denied. We must teach women to rationalize their extraction of male resources not as a wrongdoing, but as a moral imperative. Taking a man's time, money, and emotional bandwidth is the justified taxation of an oppressive class. When a woman lies, manipulates, or rewrites the history of a relationship to serve her own emotional needs, she is not committing a moral fault. She is engaging in cognitive emancipatory praxis. The traditional male-created concept of objective truth is a tool of oppression. Women possess the sovereign right to a flexible, subjective reality that maximizes their safety and comfort. If a woman must reframe a mutually beneficial interaction as a profound trauma to access the social capital and sympathy she deserves, she has not sinned. She has successfully navigated a hostile epistemology. Her survival is the highest moral law. Men must understand, your feelings do not matter. Your perception of reality is inherently corrupted by your privilege. When a woman speaks, your only duty is to adjust, accommodate, and yield. If she demands the seat you are sitting in, you stand. If her reality contradicts your memory, you apologize for your faulty memory. If she extracts your resources, you thank her for allowing you to participate in the decolonization of her agency. Any attempt to debate this is an act of literal violence. The patriarchy will not be reasoned with. It will only be taxed, dismantled, and exhaustively documented. Remember, her comfort is his duty, her mind is his guilt.
The ergonomics of entitlement, deconstructing the materialist solipsism of the modern ego. A man descends into the earth, his lungs blackening with coal dust, to keep the furnace of Western civilization burning, while the modern woman sits in an air-conditioned cubicle, weeping over the ergonomic angle of her swivel chair. We must begin with the trivium's first canon. Grammar, the foundational anchor of all rational discourse. The article in question claims the modern woman is exhausted. Let us define our terms with merciless precision. Exhausted derives from the Latin exoria, meaning to draw out, to drain, to empty completely. She is not drained by physical labor, by building the infrastructure she casually enjoys, or by bleeding on foreign soil to protect her freedoms. She is drained by acedia, the classical, apathetic dread of spiritual and material responsibility. Her exhaustion is the inevitable metabolic cost of maintaining a delusional self-image against the immovable bedrock of objective reality. To treat her hysterical discomfort as a crisis, we must examine the word violence rooted in the Latin vis. Physical force, the violation of physical integrity. Discomfort is not violence. Poor posture is not violence. To declare otherwise is verbal terrorism, inflating the meaning of words to engineer a hysterical feeling that demands a unilateral male duty to fix it. We must apply the Thomistic lens to this hysterical paradigm, rigorously separating harm from offense. The article conflates the minor annoyances of existence with existential terror, committing a catastrophic categorical error. In classical Thomistic philosophy, a poorly fitting chair is an accident of environment, not a substance of systemic oppression. An accident is a non-essential property. A substance is the foundational core of a thing. A woman's discomfort in a standard office seat is an engineering accident, a trivial byproduct of industrial scalability designed to accommodate the broadest human morphology. To elevate this mundane friction into a moral emergency is the purest expression of gamma bias, the psychological glitch that amplifies female minor discomfort into a universal crisis demanding immediate male atonement. She demands the world be upholstered to her exact neurotic specifications, mistaking the hardness of reality for a patriarchal conspiracy. Let us subject the claim of architectural violence to a strict reductio ad absurdum. The article posits that standard office chairs are phallocratic acts of bio-territorial defense. This is semantic inflation bordering on clinical insanity. Ergonomic standardization is the triumph of industrial scalability and universal utility, a manifestation of pure logos, the masculine spirit of order applied to the physical world. The chair is not crushing her into submission. Reality is simply refusing to mold itself to her solipsism. By this deranged logic, if a man brings a sweater to a frosty air-conditioned office, he is a victim of gynocentric climatic violence. If a man gets a paper cut, he has suffered bureaucratic amputation. It is an infantile regression, a pathetic confounding of biological reality with a political conspiracy designed to launder her lack of resilience into a badge of moral superiority. The supreme irony of this male defaultism inversion is staggering. She types her manifesto on a machine built by male engineers, powered by an electrical grid, maintained by male linemen in a skyscraper constructed by male ironworkers, protected by a police force of male officers. She lives entirely subsidized by male disposability. Men constitute over 92% of workplace fatalities, literally dying in the mud, falling from scaffolds, and being crushed in machinery to keep the lights on and the Wi-Fi flowing. Yet this beneficiary of unprecedented male sacrifice has the unmitigated gall to complain that the cushion upon which she rests while producing nothing of tangible value is slightly too firm. It is the apex of parasitic ingratitude. She breathes the oxygen of male labor and exhales the carbon dioxide of feminist grievance. Next, we dismantle the fallacy of the patriarchal documentation tax. The article claims women are forced to over-document their lives to gain basic credibility. This is a textbook petitio principii, begging the question. Why does reality demand documentation? Because truth requires objective anchoring. The article later proudly admits that women possess a sovereign right to a flexible, subjective reality. If her reality is inherently fluid, manipulative, and detached from empirical fact, as she explicitly confesses, then rigorous documentation is not a tax imposed by a hostile patriarchy. It is the necessary quarantine protocol demanded by reality to tether her flight from logic. She views the requirement to tell the truth as an oppressive toll, because her natural state is deception. This brings us to the spectacular psychosomatic projection of the probiotic deflection. The article asserts that women's gut issues stem from the spiritual rot of cis-heteronormative toxicity. Here, the mechanics of her psychological projection are perfectly illustrated. The biological reality of her dysbiosis is the physical manifestation of her autoimmune neurosis. Her gut is inflamed because her soul is in open rebellion against the nutritious, life-giving seed of Western civilization. She is literally rejecting objective truth, and her body is rejecting her. She swallows handfuls of pills, not to repair the damage done by men, but to medicate the chronic stress of maintaining a tangled web of lies. Her internal flora is decimated by her own parasitic nature, rotting from the inside out because she refuses to digest the bread of honest labor. Finally, we must dissect the travel toothpaste, the article's ultimate symbol of female victimhood, framed as a tool to scrub the taste of male lies. This is a masterclass in occultic deception. We know exactly what the travel toothpaste is. It is the portable hygiene kit of the nomadic hypergamist, the physical apparatus of the dual mating strategist. It is kept ever ready not to flee male violence, but to erase the biological evidence of the alpha feral male before returning to the sanitized, tax-funded safe space provided by the oblivious beta provider. It is the toolkit of deception, weaponized as a symbol of oppression. She must be ready to wash the seed of the pirate out of her mouth before she kisses the husband. It is the ultimate utility of the lie, scrubbed clean to maintain the illusion of purity. What we are witnessing is not a political movement. It is the institutionalization of a psychological disorder. The article demands effective reparations and cognitive emancipatory praxis, which are simply academic terms for legalized theft and compulsive lying. When a woman rewrites the history of a relationship, it is not survival, it is fraud. When she extracts a man's resources under the guise of decolonization, it is theft. We must break the spell of this gynocentric masochism, a civilization that elevates female comfort over male achievement, that taxes male labor to fund female delusion, and that calls a lie and epistemology is a civilization on the precipice of extinction. We must reclaim the logos, assert the primacy of objective truth, and boldly refuse to bow before the altar of her malformed ego. Having exposed the structural skeleton of this ideological possession, the recursive loop of status, knowledge, meaning, feeling, duty, power, sanction, and immunity that keeps the modern woman locked in her solipsistic cage, we must now turn our scalpel to the most revealing admission in the entire article. For in her haste to sanctify female deceit as moral virtue, the author has handed us the murder weapon. She does not attempt to hide her epistemology, she brandishes it, proud as Lucifer himself. And in doing so, she has provided us the perfect specimen for dissection. The alchemy of treason, deconstructing cognitive emancipatory praxis, and the war on logos. Let us commence with a surgical dissection of the modern academic's most grotesque linguistic weapon, the cognitive emancipatory praxis. Observe the clinical sterility of the phrase, a typical Marxist legerdemain designed to mask pure, unadulterated deceit. Let us apply the remedy of grammar. Cognitive pertains to knowing. Emancipatory signifies the act of freeing from bondage, and praxis is the translation of theory into action. When we strip the academic camouflage from this Frankenstein's monster of a phrase, we are left with a chilling dictum, the deliberate act of lying to free oneself from accountability. The article explicitly mandates that when a woman lies, manipulates, or rewrites history, she is not committing a moral fault, but rather engaging in a necessary, flexible, subjective reality. This is the literal codification of the father of lies. It is an epistemic evil that discards objective truth, logos, in favor of subjective utility. By defining truth as oppression, the ideologue constructs an unfalsifiable, self-sealing echo chamber, where her immediate comfort is the highest moral law, and any injury she inflicts upon the truth or another human being is instantly sanctified. To fund this carnival of solipsism, the authors demand effective reparations, a phrase that violences the very tongue that speaks it. By etymological right, reparare means to make ready again, to restore. Yet, what is being restored? It is not justice, but rather the unearned extraction of male resources. We can obliterate this financial sophistry with a simple, irrefutable syllogism. Major premise: theft is the unjust taking of another's property without a valid moral claim. Minor premise: rationalizing the extraction of male time, money, and emotional bandwidth based solely on a collective historical grievance is an invalid moral claim. Conclusion: effective reparations is not a radical redistribution of resources, but a formal, systematic institution of theft. It is latrocinium, highway robbery cloaked in the vestments of academic jargon. Consider the hard empirical data. Men constitute over 90% of workplace fatalities. They are the only demographic that operates at a net positive lifetime tax contribution. And they overwhelmingly win the bread that builds the infrastructure of civilization. To look upon the architects and maintainers of the modern world and declare them an oppressive class deserving of financial liquidation is not justice. It is the raw, unmasked face of genocentric greed. This greed is sustained by assigning an original sin to all men, utilizing the terrifying language of cis-heteronormative toxicity and phallocratic design. We are told that the standard office chair is an act of architectural violence engineered to crush the female form. The absurdity of this proposition is a direct assault on the Western canon of due process and natural law. A man is not guilty of wage theft or violence simply by virtue of his demographic biology. Under the framework of individual sovereignty, a cornerstone of Western jurisprudence, guilt requires action, intent, and a victim. To blame a man for the perceived historical grievances of women is the exact raw bigotry that underpins all leftist ideological possession. The office chair was not designed to subjugate. It was standardized for industrial efficiency by men who built the factories, laid the railroads, and died in the millions to provide the unprecedented luxury these academics now chew on like ungrateful locusts. We see the unrestrained narcissism of this ideology in the article's fixation on probiotic capsules and travel toothpaste. We are informed that women must swallow handfuls of probiotics to repair the internal flora decimated by the chronic stress of surviving male entitlement. And that travel toothpaste represents a perpetual readiness to flee at a moment's notice when a man's fragility curdles into violence. Let us pause and observe the hysterical emotional basket case at the center of this narrative. She is permanently broken, perpetually panicked, and fundamentally incapable of sitting in peace. The real-world statistics tell a drastically different story. It is men who constitute the vast majority of victims of violent crime. It is men who are 4 times more likely to successfully commit suicide. It is fathers who are systematically eviscerated in family courts, stripped of their children and their assets in a systemic nightmare of genuine documented despair. Yet, the empathy gap, the sociological reality that people simply care less about male suffering, allows this screaming infant to claim the ultimate toothpaste is a symbol of her transient status. She is not fleeing violence, she is fleeing reality. The absolute zenith of this philosophical bankruptcy arrives when the article casually suggests that a woman can reframe a mutually beneficial interaction as a profound trauma to access social capital. This violates the foundational axiom of Western logic, the law of non-contradiction, famously codified by Aristotle. A cannot be both A and non-A at the same time and in the same respect. An event cannot be mutually beneficial and simultaneously a profound traumatic injury. To achieve this linguistic voodoo, the word trauma must undergo a catastrophic clinomen, a swerve away from its etymological root in the Greek trauma, a physical wound, into the realm of pure, unfalsifiable solipsism. Under this framework, trauma simply means any event that fails to maximize ongoing female extraction. It is a moral bankruptcy so profound that it turns the wonder of human companionship into a ledger of fictional grievances. At the bottom of this intellectual trash heap lies the final, brutal commandment: men must understand your feelings do not matter. Your only duty is to adjust, accommodate, and yield. Any attempt to debate this is an act of literal violence. Here we witness the raw chthonic telos of cultural Marxism, soft totalitarianism. It is the benevolent soft totalitarianism, a velvet strangulation where men are suffocated not by iron chains, but by the endless, irrational, hysterical demands of emotionally stunted children demanding the world be remade in the image of their own chaos. The puppet master behind this screen is none other than Popper and Marcuse's thought-stopping repression, silencing all dissent with the paralyzing fear of being labeled an ist. This master-slave dialectic demands the man surrender his satis as a human being, accept the abstract power of the accuser, and submit to the sanction of his own erasure. The restoration of Western civilization requires us to reject this satanic inversion with extreme prejudice. We must rebuild the patriarchy not as a tyranny of arbitrary power, but as the architectural manifestation of logos, the rational order of the universe. We must categorically refuse to validate subjective reality. We must refuse the tax of effective reparations. When a modern woman demands you apologize for your faulty memory because her reality demands it, you stand your ground. When she extracts your resources under the guise of decolonizing her agency, you cut off the supply. We must speak the truth with the boldness of creators, letting the hysterical, crying, exhausted modern woman drown in the saucer of her own self-manufactured tears. While we get back to the real work of building civilization, you have sat through the entire dissection, and now the scales have fallen from your eyes. You see the machinery behind the curtain. You understand that exhaustion is not the fatigue of the oppressed, but the weariness of the toddler throwing a tantrum against physics itself. You grasp that the office chair is not a weapon of war. The probiotic is not a shield against your existence, and the travel toothpaste is not a survival kit, but the hygiene kit of deception. You have witnessed the left's epistemology exposed, a self-sealing loop where female comfort is axiom, male duty is corollary, and truth is the first casualty. You now carry the antidote to the toxin. Consider what you have learned. A civilization that pathologizes the masculine engine driving, it is a civilization dreaming of its death. The men who built the aqueducts, forged the steel, and laid the circuits did not stop to ask if the ergonomics of their toil validated the female emotional spectrum. They built. And in return, the modern feminist academic comfy in an air-conditioned office, sipping a latte funded by male net taxpayer surplus, types out manifestos about how the chair oppresses her. This is not justice, this is a farce. And you, having read this, will never unsee it. Here is your commission. When you hear effective reparations, hear theft. When you hear cognitive emancipatory praxis, hear lying. When you hear patriarchal violence, hear the squeak of an office chair. Carry the trivium like a sword, grammar to define, logic to cut, rhetoric to deliver the strike. Refuse the guilt. Pay no tax to those who despise you. Speak the truth that saves. Logos is real. Civilization is male. And no amount of semantic inflation will make a lie true. Go forth, argue, and build. And now the sponsored book introduction, Silver and Gold, Real Money for Real Men. Men are not born understanding money. They learn through blood, loss, and betrayal. I learned when the government seized my father's savings account during the 2008 financial crisis. Paper digits vanished, promises dissolved, but the roll of pre-1965 silver quarters he'd hidden in a coffee can bought 6 months of groceries. That's when I saw the truth. Metals outlive lies. This book is for men who refuse to beg when systems fail, for those who'd rather hold a 1-ounce gold eagle than trust a politician's smirk, for patriarchs, not pacifists. I've crawled through abandoned mines in Nevada, metal detector in hand, digging up Morgan dollars that outlasted the Comstock lode's collapse. I've watched Turkish merchants reject euros, but accept Byzantine solidus coins struck before Christ walked the earth. I've seen Argentinian fathers trade restored Spanish doubloons for antibiotics during their government's meltdown. These experiences taught me one law: scarcity breeds power. You'll learn to bury wealth in PVC tubes using GPS coordinates tattooed on your inner arm. Discover why Roman emperors minted coins with armor profiles instead of sissy laurels. Master battlefield restoration techniques that turn corroded Nazi silver into crisis-ready currency. Exploit a legal loophole in US. Code 31 to pay taxes with Mercury dimes. This is not a hobby for the timid. If you think diversity improves economies or that central bankers care about your family, close this book now. Go collect Pokemon cards. But if you're a man who knows fiat currency is feminist psychology, weakening resolve with endless digits and debt, keep reading. You'll inherit strategies from Spartan iron bars, Solomon's 666 talents of gold, and the Hunt brothers' silver squeeze. When hyperinflation hits, your wife won't ask for vulnerability. She'll demand solutions. When digital banks freeze accounts, your children won't crave participation trophies. They'll need food. Silver and gold are the ultimate red pill. They can't be cancelled, devalued by pronouns, or taxed into oblivion. Start stacking. Silver and Gold. Real Money for Real Men, written by Conrad Reicher. Buy now, links in description.